Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Seaman Moore and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded and distributed, please go to the LinkedIn Live video feed, the link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is composer Jack Redford, whose new Navona Records album, Love, Bade Me Welcome, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Jack.
Hi, nice to be here.
Jack, so tell us about the first time you heard the sound of a choir. What was your experience? Were you attracted to that sound? Did you say, I want to, what was your experience?
Well, I grew up with choral music. My mom and my grandparents and two aunts and uncles all sang in a choir. And I used to go to the rehearsals and play in the background while they were rehearsing. So the sound got into my ears very early on. I think I remember going to see Amal and the Night Visitors at Christmas time and hearing the choirs in that and just the whole production. I just was entranced by that. And then also in high school, a friend introduced me to the Brahms German Requiem. And that was kind of a watershed moment for me. Um, as an adult, I sang in a choir that was one voice per part doing Renaissance vocal music, William Byrd and Thomas Tallis and others of that period. And that changed my writing. I kind of think, I like to think of the of singing as being the expiration out of the inspiration in. Our creation stories talk about God breathing into man, into the dust, the soul, animating the soul through breath. And I like to think of our breathing out as a response to that. So the breathing in, breathing out is such a part of singing. So it's just, it's a beautiful art form to me. I love choral music for that.
And can you explain to us a little bit, why is it maybe that we are so enamored with symphonies? Beethoven's known for his symphonies, Mozart, Haydn. We like orchestral music. When we think about choirs, I guess we maybe name Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which has a choir in it, but we still think it's an orchestral work. How come the choirs are we don't tie them as closely to classical music as we do with other instrumental forms?
I wish I had an answer to that question because I think they should be tied closely together. Anyone that has spent any time listening to choral music, I mean, the musicianship of the singers, the everything is equal to the power of instrumental music. And when they're blended together, it's even an enhancement, to both. So I think though that they kind of dwell in different worlds sometimes. The choral world is a little bit distinct from the instrumental world, and that kind of, I don't know, emphasizes the differences rather than the similarities. So yeah, it would be my dream that they wouldn't be diverse, that they would be seen as being part of the same whole.
Okay, let's listen to our next track from the album. This is Wake Up My Spirit.
Wake up, my spirit, awake, Lord, and I myself will waken the dawn. My heart is ready, my heart is ready, O God. I will sing and make music for you.
Lovely. Now,
You.
you said that when you were young, you were playing while you heard your family singing in a choir. Then you heard the German Requiem by Brahms. Hasn't the choir been exhausted of possibilities? Why did you decide, okay, I'm going to write something new for the choir? Isn't singing that's the first thing we do? That's shouldn't that be the last thing we make an album about?
Well, I think it's a good question. It should be discussed, but I kind of think that that view, the view that things are exhausted, is a view that's kind of drawn from a more from a perspective that things get exhausted if they're not new. It's sort of the cult of novelty, you know. I don't think things are exhausted. Are words exhausted? Is love exhausted? Is poetry exhausted? Dance? I mean, I don't think anything's exhausted. Sometimes our imaginations are exhausted, and we just need to reboot our imaginations a little bit in order to, grasp some form that has been with us for a long, long time. We've always known it, but it doesn't feel fresh to us for some reason. That says more about our imaginations than it does about the form itself, though. And I think about the way in the middle of the sort of the revolution of the musical revolution of the late 19th or 20th century. In the middle of that, Benjamin Britten steps in and writes music that's incredibly imaginative and incredibly tonal at the same time. So I know I don't think it's exhausted.
And what do you say to
I'm still loving it. I'm still finding a lot of freshness in it. So
And what's your answer then, as you said, that Benjamin Britten was doing something that was more at home in the 20th century than in the 21st century, and now you're continuing that legacy? I suppose you're
no,
implying.
what I'm saying is in the midst of sort of the view that tonality had been exhausted, he was writing tonal music with great imagination and freshness. And just like that, composers are able to access freshness and imaginative writing right now in forms that seem to be older forms or that actually are older forms, but they're infusing it with new imaginative, ideas and freshness of that sort. So I feel like it's a failure of imagination rather than the exhaustion of a form.
Let's listen to our next track. This is a video. We've got a privilege of watching a video of Who Hears the Ocean Roaring in a Tree.
Who hears the ocean roaring
Lovely. So, uh,
Yeah.
we've heard so far a Latin text and two English texts. You have texts from across the centuries. Tell us, is one of these texts your favorite? Tell us about it.
Well, I don't really have favorites because I just feel things are too contextualized, for that. I don't set texts that I don't respond to, that I don't love. But having said that, of the pieces we're playing today, I do really love that text that we just heard, and there's some really great lines in it. The idea of for as a book has pages stamped with ink, while yet some meaning rustles all its leaves, so all things are as words that forge a link between the writer and the one who reads. I mean, that's just a little gem of wisdom buried in that text there, and I love that. And I think one of the things that I try to do with my music is to paint the words with a musical setting. To not that the words are deficient in any way, but to paint them so that a perspective, my perspective in particular, about the words, my interpretation of the text comes forward and allows other people to share it. I'd say that the one that we're about to hear is another wonderful text. Both these men, both Roger Wagner and Malcolm Guite, the poets that I set, are friends and collaborators. And so I love both of these texts. I particularly liked the kind of meditative quality of the singing bowl and wanted to achieve that in music. So I did that by limiting my scale, limiting the harmonies that were available to me, and trying to give it sort of an unfolding. Everything is over the singing bowl, which is basically playing a C. But it finishes off with these wonderful words. When the heart is full of quietness, begin the song exactly where you are.
Wow. And to pick these texts, I mean, when you come across them, it's just because I imagine you read a lot. How do you know the text is really high quality? How do you find that, as you say about music, the imagination, and know, wow, that's something that's got imagination. That's valuable.
I don't know. My wife always spoke of her high school English teacher as having taught her the difference between good, better, and best in terms of literature. And I learned from her um, some of those some of those tests, and they've since sort of passed into my soul. And it's not like I think of a rubric or anything when I'm reading a poem, but I do look for just a I don't know. I don't know if I could give you specific rules by which this happens, but I'm sort of trained myself to respond to texts that have a particular quality to them. And whether I succeed or fail at that is for other people to decide based on what they hear, from me. But I feel like I'm finding texts that call out something in me, call out something special. Poets, especially living poets like these two men, speaking into life in a way that, is a quality use of words, interesting use of words, challenging. That concept of inscape that Gerard Manley Hopkins talked about, where there's something beneath the words that comes forward when you hear the rhythm of the words spoken, things like that. I'm looking for those kinds of details.
Let's listen to The Singing Bowl. Here's our video. What a privilege. this brings us to our philosophical part, the philosophical part of our conversation. In the liner notes, you write, quote, whether facing a blank page, a new relationship, or the next life stage, many of us wrestle with the question of how to begin. End quote. Please tell us about how you deal with the adversity of beginning anew. Does music support you through this challenge, or is music itself that blank page you are struggling with?
Yeah, I love this question. It's really it's really a good one, and probably requires more time to just converse about it than are left in the broadcast. But I feel like it's a both and answer to that. It is both a challenge and a help. My wife recently passed away, my wife of 51 years, and I found that music was an anchor to me to be able to go to my studio and push some notes around, helped me to get through that experience. It was something solid to retreat to, and also something creative to draw me forward. And so, that's the sense in which it was a help. But I've also experienced it as a challenge when you're not feeling particularly inspired. Sometimes that blank page just is very, very challenging. I have worked for many years in media, music, working in film, and I've learned how to prod the muse. Sometimes the muse doesn't show up, and you have to prod her a little bit, uh, to use that phraseology. You have to sort of get her to show up. And when I first started out, I would kind of pass over my first ideas for a piece, thinking there must be something better. I've got to keep looking. I can't go with this idea. It's too soon. And then I'd get down to the deadline and I'd have to get it finished and I'd have to write something, in a couple of days when I really had a week to write it or maybe 2 weeks to write it. And I thought after a couple of those, which were very, very distressing and produced a lot of anxiety, I thought, this is nuts. I shouldn't be doing this because I end up using the first idea anyway. So why don't I think of this in terms of getting an idea and developing it, of making it the right idea? If it doesn't feel like the right idea at the outset, maybe there's a way that it becomes the right idea as I sort of take that inspiration and then knead it like dough, to turn into the right idea. And I found that really worked for me. It helped remove some of the anxiety. It helped me to deal with deadlines. And it became a practice for writing where I would accept the ideas that came to me. And I found that ideas for me for a piece, especially when it was inspired by a text or maybe a series of images, a film, a lot of times the first ideas were my immediate and most native response to a particular stimulation. And I began to trust those more and to trust my craft to be able to spin those out and to develop them. And so the blank page, yeah, it can be really daunting, but there's some ways of approaching it that make it less challenging, and it also can be kind of a blessing to you, when you're under duress, to be able to have something to apply yourself to that takes your mind off whatever it is you're going through.
And would you
I think
recommend?
the metaphors, for starting anything in any fresh thing, a relationship or whatever else we're talking about. I think the metaphors are really strong, between that experience in music and other things of life.
And would you recommend to other people, uh, in order to prod the muse? Is there a certain formula? I remember very well David Lynch speaking about painting. He always said, it's 4 hours, the first hour of which you're getting ready, the second 2 hours of which you're painting, and the fourth hour of which you're shutting down. Is that a good way to prod the muse, or what do you recommend?
I really think it's different for everybody. I don't think, I mean, I can talk about my experience and there might be bits of that are relatable, to other people who are creating things. But in the end, each person has to make it his own or her own. It's I don't know. I really don't believe it's a formula. I think, what I would tell students sometimes when I was talking with students, I'd say, take a piece of music paper out on your veranda or wherever it is you're living and, give yourself an hour, write whatever occurs to you, and then put it away, um, as a way of just sort of forcing something to happen. And, that you could consider to be a formula, but I don't believe it's a universal formula. Some students would say, well, I don't even write by hand. I write in a computer, and okay, fine, we'll find a way. I invented that way for myself because I needed to, after 6 years on a television series, I really needed something to get my head out of that vocabulary. So, yeah, so it works for some people. What's the line from Little Big Man? Sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't.
Let's have a listen to our last track of the evening. This is All Shall Be Well.
All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things.
So, final thoughts. First of all, are there any questions or comments? Would anyone like to jump in and say something to Jack? He's here to answer your questions. Dr. Davis has something. Hi, Dr. Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, can you hear me all right?
We can.
Thank you, Sim. Thank you very much for bringing this gentleman. And I really enjoyed your music very
Thank
much.
you.
I've been listening to music for, I hate to admit it, 92 years. And this, and I've listened to, orchestral music, band music, and then the choirs. And I never appreciated choirs for many, many years, and especially today. I like that all shall be well. Great job. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you
I
very
think
much.
you want to put that on the main stations that people listen to, and maybe it'll calm things down a bit.
Oh, I hope so.
Thanks, Dr.
But,
Davis.
I'm sorry about the loss of your wife, by the way.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Thanks, Sim.
Thanks, Dr. Davis.
Hmm.
So, final question then, Jack. What do you wish all of us who listen to this album, what would you like us to take away from our experience?
I really write music to communicate. It's not just self-expression, it's that, but it's also to communicate. And I want to speak to the integrated uh, human being. So to the heart as well as the mind, to the body as well as the spirit. And I want people to hear that there's counterpoint in it because I love counterpoint. And I want people to hear that the text is being painted, that the music is a dance with the words, not something separate from it, which is superimposed on the words.
Okay, let's see how we can buy the album. It is at novonarecords.com. The name of the album is Love, Bade Me Welcome, and that we've been listening to, and you can listen to it on YouTube and or stream and buy it. So all you have to do is you go to novonarecords.com and put in Love, Bade Me Welcome, and we can and you can get it right there. If we want to stay in touch with Jack, that's easy enough. It's Jack, that is J.A.C, jackredford.com. And people can reach out to you if they have any questions here.
Yes.
Perfect. So feel free to reach out to Jack with your questions and your comments. Again, that is jacredford.com. Thank you so very much to Jack Redford.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And before we
Thank
go,
you.
before we go, I'd just like to take us to simeonmore.com, where you can find all information about upcoming shows. And while you're at it, you can click on, if you're interested, become a sponsor for $5 a month. For $5 monthly, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 monthly, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and one Vienna Live City tote bag. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free classical music public service. And we have next week coming up is Christopher O'Reilly, the Well-Tempered Clavier. Christopher O'Reilly's The Well-Tempered Clavier delves into the subtle intricacies of Bach's famous masterwork, revealing the composer's nuanced craftsmanship through an exploration of the spaces between notes. Inspired by Bach's profound lyricism and informed by historical insights, O'Reilly's interpretation transcends conventional keyboard traditions. Let's discover the Well-Tempered Clavier. And once again, as always, all information about upcoming shows may be found at www.simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Jack Redford. Thank you to our corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free public classical music service. Thanks very much to my cousin Mike, a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. Thanks, of course, most of all to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile from Washington, D.C. and rural Southeast Pennsylvania. Goodbye and see you next Wednesday.